can perform. I think any questions on that? I think we also covered the topic of upset, which is nothing but the insert plus update. We spoke about external ID as well on on how external ID can be helpful, especially when we are moving data from legacy systems or like different systems into Salesforce, but also maintaining the key of the third-party application in Salesforce so that we have a connection between two systems. Um, the importance of Salesforce ID especially in performing update, upsert, and delete operations. How we can use export to export the data from the database into Salesforce, from the database onto CSV files. Um, anything? I think we also saw some settings like insert null values, batch size, server URL. We also know now. I think we also know how to reset the security token as well. Um, any questions so far on that? All right. Now let's move on to profiles. I mean, the security sharing is done in, like, I think there are two big modules with respect to security and sharing. I mean, the moment when we talk about security and sharing, generally in IT world we talk about how to secure the data from hackers, how to secure the application not to be like hacked by someone or unnecessary users having access. We don't deal with those because Salesforce is a cloud platform. We don't care, and we don't maintain the servers, or we don't control about the security. Like when I say security, the external security things are already taken care for us by Salesforce. So we only control about two things. Security can be very broadly classified into two major categories: what a user can do in Salesforce and what a user can see in Salesforce. Okay, so what a user can do is controlled by profiles and permission sets. What a user can see is it's called as record level security. Okay, now let's take an example and try to understand what is the difference between these two. So remember, we learned in Salesforce we can create multiple apps, right? Like not only the sales app, we created a conference management app. In the same way, we can create numerous applications that can serve different purposes. Okay. Now, for example, for example, um, you know, let's take about the place that I work for currently. So the place where I work for currently, we use Salesforce to build all the applications. Like most of our applications in the company are built on top of Salesforce. Now, for example, we built an application called accounts payable application. So we have a team called accounts payable team, and we built an app like where people can create invoices, people can create vendors, um, people can create expenses, petty cash. So all the details, I mean, the all the objects, pages, um, um, tabs, everything related to that accounts payable application are created, are bundled and created as a package. In the same way, we also have an accounts receivable app. Okay. In the same way, we also have an HR application. We have a marketing application. So we have different apps that are created in Salesforce. Now, first thing is HR people, like we have a HR department, right? In HR department, there are like 15 or 20 people probably. Now, the app that we created for HR should only be visible for HR people, okay? For these 15, 20, or how many members that are working in HR department, the app that we created for HR should only be visible for that 15 or 20 people. The app that we created for accounts payable should only be visible and accessible by those, like that um, the people who are in AP team. In the same way, we have a marketing app, and in our marketing department, there are like 15 to 20 people again. They are working to make this marketing, and the app that we created for marketing should only be accessible by them. Now, sometimes there are some apps, like, there is an app called Employee Directory. So this is an app that we created where people can search for employees, know what the phone number is, what their desk number is, where they work from, like which city they work from, things like that. So that's employee app, employee directory app, that should be visible for everybody, right? Like irrespective of whether you are HR, whether you are, anybody, that employee directory should be visible for everybody. But within that employee directory, H, like all other users in the system should be able to just see the employee, like, where they are, where they are present, what is the location, what is the phone number, what is their full name, stuff like that. Whereas within the same app, if you are a HR person, like, if you are one of the person from HR department, you should have the ability to change anything. Like, you should have the ability to change the name, change the email address, change the phone number, or even, like, mark the job status as terminated, or mark the job status as inactive. So, like, what we are trying to say, the thing what I'm trying to say is, depending on the team or depending on the group that you belong to, you need to be able to perform different activities in the system. Okay, and a good example, I think we spoke this example before. Let's say, I think if you're doing your master's or bachelor's here, you have a application called Blackboard, right? In Blackboard, what happens? So everybody in the college will have a Blackboard account. Every student in the college will have a student ID, and everybody will have a Blackboard account. And in the Blackboard account, they will have a username and password. But as a student, when I log in, I only see my assignments, the assignments that I am supposed to submit, the grades that I got, uh, the course material that I have to study, like everything related to me will be there. Whereas the same Blackboard application, if one of your professor logs in with their username and password, what do they see? They see everything at a class level, like, they see all the assignments submitted by all the class people, like, all the members of the class. They see all the, you know like grades of all the people who are in the class. They see, like, it's the same application, probably the same page. They might be looking at the assignment page, but because they are the professor, they are able to see more things, and they're able to do more things. As a student, you will never be able to create an assignment. You'll never be able to say, hey, everybody do this assignment. We cannot do that. But as a professor, they'll have the ability to be able to create an assignment. They'll have the ability to upgrade, you know the grades that we get. As a student, all we have is just, submission rights and read rights. So, same application, same module, some people have edit access, some people have read access. Now, here what I would call this is, um, we as students have student profile, and professors will have professor profile. You know what I mean? So this way we are broadly categorizing, like, the first thing of security sharing. The first thing of security sharing is controls what a user can do in the system. Okay, the things that a user can do in the system, is the first module, and the things what a user can see in the system. Let's talk about record level security. Okay, record. Now, in the same professor student example, let's say there is Professor 1 who teaches business ethics, and Professor 2 teaches marketing, like the business marketing. Now, both have professor profiles, but, now I'm submitting, like, as a class, we have a class of 15 people, and as a class, all the students in the class are submitting the business ethics assignment, and all the students of the class are also submitting the marketing assignment. Okay, so both have professor profiles, like, the marketing professor is also, like, both have professor profile, and hence they have the rights to publish assignments, to see the grades. They have all the rights. But the second piece is record level security. So a business ethics professor should only be able to see those submissions that are related to business ethics, and the marketing professor should only be able to see the records that are related to marketing submission. Okay, both, like, the profile, the profile allows them to be able to do some activities. Like you see, that's the difference is profile controls what a user can do in the system. Okay, like what a user can do in the system are publish assignments, create group discussions, ability to see all the grades, ability to grade. These are all the set of permissions that a user can do. Now the second piece is what a user can see. Like yes, because both professors belong to the same professor profile, they're able to do the same things. But what a user can see now, should a marketing profile be able to see what assignment submission you have done in business ethics? No. Like, though they both have the same rights to be able to create assignments, publish assignments, and everything, because you are a marketing professor, you will only be able to see the rows, or you will only be able to see the records that are related to marketing. Same way, just because we are student, like because we have a student profile, I'm able to see only the things that are owned by me. I'm not able to see the records that are assignments that are submitted by my colleagues. Okay, like other students in the class. So that's why two things, like the ability to submit an assignment is it comes under what a user can do in the system. The ability for me to only see my own assignments comes under the what a user can see in the system. Okay, what a user can do in the system, what a user can see in the system. Okay, profile is a major component that controls what a user can do in the system. Okay, role and record level sharing are the two things that control what a user can see in the system. Does it make sense? I mean, this is a huge difference. uh, Again, we'll see some examples, but I think, if you did you get what I mean when I say what a user can do versus what a user can see? So the whole Salesforce, like, this is the out of the box security model that Salesforce has given. A lot of people have a good understanding of it, and a lot of people do not have a good understanding of it, and they do some crazy things. People who do not have good understanding on it do crazy things in the application, and when you see them, you'll be like, what? Why did you do this? Like. So uh, I just want you guys to understand that distinction. Any questions before I move forward? Okay. So first, let's talk about profiles. Okay. So what is meant by a profile? Like, profile is a set of permissions that are assigned to a user. Okay. So profile is nothing but a bunch, or a whole set of permissions that are assigned. Now, let's take this example. So how do we create a user in Salesforce? So, for example, this is my Salesforce instance, right? This is my Salesforce instance. Imagine this is a company. Like, imagine this is a company. Let me show you something. Not this one. No. See, we have how many users? We have two users. Okay, so we have a user security, user Shravan, pin into Shravan, chatter expert. So we have one, two, three, four, five users in this system. Okay, now if you want to add another user, what would you do? You click new user, and you see, you enter the first name, last name, and you assign a user license, and you assign a profile to them. Okay, so, like, while creating the user itself, assigning a profile is mandatory. Like, the while creating the user itself in. So why do we create user? I mean, by creating a user, basically we are giving access to this system. That's it, right? Like, right now, this Salesforce instance is only accessed by me. Nobody else has access to it. So whatever things that I want to do, only I will be able to do it. There is no I mean, nobody else has access to it. Now, what happens if I go ahead here and create a user? Like, if I go ahead, create a first name, last name, and everything, and just save. Automatically, what happens, depending on the email address that I've given, they will receive an email. The user will receive an email, and you know the user will be able to set their own password, and they'll be able to log in into the system. So when they log in into the system, the moment they log in into the system, should they, as an end user, will they should they see the things the way we as admins see it, or should they see the things differently? They would obviously have to see the things differently because they do not have admin permissions. But what should be the things that they have to see? This profile is something that controls that. Like, profile is nothing but a huge set of permissions that controls what a user can see, how their layout is, what are the apps. Like you see here, right now we are seeing all the apps. Now, depending on the profile, it will control whether they will be able to see all the apps, whether they will be able to see only one or two apps. All those things are controlled by the profile. Now, why is a profile necessary? Like, why can't we maintain individual permissions at the user level? For example, I'm creating a user and the department is HR. For example, I'm creating a user and department is HR. Why can't we just assign all the, like, necessary permissions for this user individually that are required for HR? We can do that, but it's an administrative overhead, right? So when I meant administrative overhead, if you keep on giving permissions at individual user level, like there are 20 people in HR. When one person joins, you'll be like, okay, you are HR department, so let me give you these permissions. Then the second person joins, let me give you these permissions. So, like, just creating a user would take 20, 30, or 1 hour depending on the permissions that you want. Now that's an administrative overhead. Instead, what would you do? We create a profile. Like, we go to profiles. Okay, we'll say new profile. So we create a profile called HR profile like this. You see, a profile called HR profile is created. Now what we'll do for this profile, you see, we control the app access like this. We say, hey, you know what? For HR, we only want to enable. Okay, I just said for HR we only want to enable Lightning Sales app and save it. Okay, just save the HR profile. Now what happens whenever, like, I mean, I didn't fully set up the profile, but I created a profile, and I said, this HR people, the HR profile should only have access to these two apps. Okay, apps are nothing but the list of things that you see here. These are called as apps. So what I said is for HR, they will only able to see sales app. Okay. So what happens now when I create you, and I can control. You see, there are so many permissions that I can control here. Like, we will go those things in detail, but I'm just trying to give the, like, there are so many. You see, these are all the permissions that you can control for this profile. So you will configure, you will discuss with business, come out with, okay, HR department, what are all the permissions that they should have? You will come up with a list of permissions that they should have. You will, like, you will update this profile. You will add some permissions, remove some permissions, you will update all this profile. And then when anybody from HR department is joining, like, when let me just inactivate this person so I can. So let me just create a new user. You see this profile here. I just created a profile called HR and I see this profile here. We'll talk about role later. And when I just hit save, okay. Let me just open my email address. You see, I got an email when I just click verify account. Okay, you see, now it's the same org but joined by a HR user, and let's see the profile. You see this? As a system admin, when I log in, you see so many things. But as a HR user, I logged into the system as a HR user. And you see, you are only seeing one item here. Whereas if I log in here as, like, this is my system admin account, this tab. You see, oh man, session ID, the session ID got switched. So, I mean, never we should never log into both accounts using the same browser. Like, you should at least use anonymous window to log in. Let me try. Let me try the anonymous window. Come on. So this is my admin account. I mean, this is the admin account that I use every day. Now, you see, this admin account, when I log in, I'm seeing so many things here. Whereas, if I go to the other account here, like which I just created, this is the HR account. You see, I mean, this is my HR account. If you see user HR, this is the account that I just created with the profile called HR profile. And you see, I'm only seeing just this app. Whereas this is my other admin account. Oh man, I don't know how to navigate between this. Yeah, you see, this is my admin account that I use every day. And when I go to apps, I'm able to see more apps here because as an admin, I have access to everything. Now, how were we able to control this? We were able to control this using something called as profiles. Okay, using a profile, I'm able to control this. But why did that person get that? Like, why did the HR person able to see only that app? Because of, come on, because we set the app access to be only one app access. For system admin, of course, every app will be accessible by them. Come on, why is it not loading? Okay, so I just look at the profile. This is the profile that we created, and if you click edit, see all these checkboxes are unchecked for the profile, and hence that's why this person is able to only see one app. Like whereas as a system admin, we are able to see more apps because the system admin profile has all these checkboxes checked. Okay. Now, like I mentioned, we use profiles. Profiles are intended for mass audience. When I say mass audience, you create one profile for HR. Like, sometimes you have to make some compromise because every user has distinct needs. But if you keep on providing permissions or managing permissions for at individual user level, the whole of your life will be only dedicated to giving access to users, correcting the permissions for user. That's why what we do, we maintain at the profile level. Like for the whole HR department, we give a profile called as HR, and all the permissions needed to that will be in that HR profile. And what happens, any person who joins the HR department, whenever we get a user request, we will ask them, hey, which department this person belongs to? They'll say HR, and automatically we assign the HR profile. So when we assign the HR profile, all the permissions that are defined in the HR profile will be assigned to that user. Okay, rather than managing things at individual user level. So ultimately, in a company, see, the less the number of profiles, the less is the headache. That's the thing that we need to remember. I know creating a profile and assigning profile is easy, but I think from experience, what comes is, if the less the number of profiles that we maintain, the more flexibility that we will have. So we should maintain less profiles so the comfort level will be more. Okay, but of course, if there are requirements, if there are requirements, we need to make sure to cater those. But ultimately, having number of profiles, I mean, there are some companies who have like 20, 25 profiles, and it becomes harder and harder um, to maintain those. Whereas some companies who have 5 or 6 profiles, which is awesome, it's really easy for us to control everything with the 5 or 6 profiles. Okay. Any question on what is the use of profile? Okay, I mean, we will go through the profile on what all these things control. But I just want to know any questions? Okay, let's enable our conference management app as well for these people. Okay, so right now I only enable one. Let me enable conference management app and click save. Okay, so if I go to their page and load, this is the HR view. This is the because I logged in as the HR person. Now I enable the permission for this profile, and you see these two things here. Like because in here I enabled as a system admin, I enabled both apps for them, and hence in this view they are able to see both. Okay. Um. Okay. Now, so first thing is you can control. So what does a profile do? Using a profile, we can control app access. Okay, which apps this set of users have access to. Okay, right now for HR, I mean, I just made up a profile called HR. We can make any profile. I just made up a profile called HR, and then you can see that this HR profile has access to 2 apps. Okay. Now, before moving more forward with the profile, I want to bring one concept to you guys. You see, when I'm trying to create a new profile, right? Like, this is HR profile. Let me try to create another profile call. You see, whenever you're trying to create a profile, it's asking which profile you want to clone it from. Okay, it's a good thing, right? Because rather than creating the whole brand new profile from scratch, it's better to clone an existing profile. When you clone an existing profile, what happens? You get all the permissions from that existing profile, and then you can modify the profiles. You can modify the new profile that you created. Okay, so now that's fine. But if you see here, user license, it's asking what a for example, let's say I change this to system admin. You see, if I change this to system admin, the user license is automatically changed to Salesforce. If I change to standard platform user, the user license is automatically changed to Salesforce platform. So what is this user license means? Like, what is the importance of that user license? Okay, so the importance is, this is how Salesforce makes money. Salesforce makes money by selling user licenses. Okay, so what does that mean? So what is the difference between here? Like, if you see, what is the difference between Salesforce license, Salesforce platform license? Um, this is Salesforce too. Yeah, customer portal managed custom license. There are different, so many different licenses in Salesforce. But the major one are platform license. Okay, platform license, Salesforce license, Salesforce full license, platform license, and community, the customer community license. I mean, there are others too, chatter free, external identity, there are so many others. But what is, like, overall, on a general, what does that license mean? The license is nothing but it's exactly like, probably like your internet and cable subscription. Okay, let's say, your internet subscription is, you said you wanted 1 GB speed, you wanted a cable connection with all the channels that are present in the world, you needed HD channels, you have everything. How much you will be charged? Probably, I don't know, maybe depending on where you live, they might charge you 150 or 200 per month. Whereas you said, you know what, I don't care about anything, I just want internet, that too, like 20 MB or 30 MB speed. What do they charge you? They charge you $35 or $40 a month. Okay, so technically, what you're saying, depending on your features, depending on the bandwidth that is being used, depending on the features that you are using, they are charging you different amount, right? In the same way, even in Salesforce, they have different licenses. Okay, so for example, Salesforce license. Where is Salesforce license? So okay, so you see the Salesforce license. This is the ultimate license. Okay, so this one is the most expensive one, where you will be able to do anything that you want in Salesforce. Okay, again, there are, like, if you really go deeper, there are some exceptions and all that, but I'm just talking in general terms to help you understand what licensing is. So when you choose Salesforce license, this Salesforce license, you can basically do anything that you want. Okay, whereas if you choose this platform license, so this platform license will not give you access to, you see, with Salesforce license, right? Like the things that you're seeing here, accounts, contacts, opportunities, leads, campaigns, cases, orders, all these standard objects that you have access to those along with some other lot of other features in Salesforce by using Salesforce license. If you are using Salesforce platform license, okay, the name itself is Salesforce platform. What the Salesforce is saying is, you'll be able to leverage the platform features of Salesforce, but not the out of the box CRM features. So that's why if you are using Salesforce platform license, you will only get access to account and contact. You will not get access to campaign, lead, opportunity, forecast, contracts, order, cases, solutions, products. You won't get access to any of those. You will only get access to accounts and contacts. Okay. Now, if you, like, let's say app subscription user, same force.com app subscription, if you are this license, you only get access to account and contact and 10 more custom objects. Apart from account and contact, you get access to just 10 more custom objects. If you are platform user, like, if you are platform user, you get access to account and contact and 100 more custom objects. Okay, look at the price difference too. The platform license, I mean, I don't know now how much it exactly costs, but as per from what I know, again, they give different deal to different companies. But generally, the platform license cost $40 a month per user, whereas app subscription, right? Force.com app subscription might cost $10 per user per month, whereas full Salesforce license, like the full Salesforce license cost, depending on your edition, it might cost 350 or $400 per month per user. Okay, so and there are things like customer portal. Customer portal is nothing but you can enable communities. I'll show you what a customer community means. So, like that license is it's very cheap. It would be like 70 cents per user per month, or like depending on logins. But again, so the more costlier the license, the more out of the box features that Salesforce gives you. The less expensive the license, you have to customize a lot of things yourself. Like we have to customize a lot of things ourselves. So that's the difference. Again, just like the way, like if you're just only buying internet from a provider, they will only give you internet. But for TV services, you might have to pay other services like Amazon, Netflix, and maybe YouTube TV. You might have to spend money there. You are customizing it. In the same way, if you buy a platform license, you are only charged $40 a month, but any features that you want, you would have to custom build yourself. Whereas if you buy full Salesforce license, they will give you all account, contact, opportunity, lead, like the whole CRM package with other features and stuff. But again, it's up to us to be able to determine what we need. Now, within the same company itself, we can have like 1,000 Salesforce licenses, 500 platform licenses, 200 app subscription licenses. Like, for example, there is a group of user like conference management, right? For the conference management app, we only use 3 objects. Now, there are a group of users who only uses conference management app. They don't need anything else. So now why would we use Salesforce license? We can just get an app subscription license, right? That costs just $10 per month per user, and then we can assign that. We can create a profile for that app subscription license and assign that to the users that are using that app. This way, we are not spending like $400 license. Believe me, there are so many companies, they do not know. I mean, they might not have thought about it, or their marketing team have sold them more. There are so many big companies, there are so many companies, they do not know the little concept that we spoke about right now. And even though there are so many users who are using just 5 objects or 10 objects, they are using full Salesforce license because they do not understand the concept, or they do not know that, oh, there are different license types that are available, and using this license type will be able to give access. And like usually what people do, when they have system admins who are like, see, any company is made up of their employees, right? Like um, now if their employees, they might have 1 or 2 system admins, and if their employees do not know this concept, that's it. The company will not know unless somebody else takes a look at it and say, hey, why are you doing this? Why can't you do this and save so much money? Unless you do that, nobody will even realize, and nobody will know. They will keep on paying so much money. But that's why it's as a consultant, it's good to understand these things as well. So when you go to a company, you can make some suggestions. This happened to me in one of my project. In reality, this happened to me. So I was um, consulting for one of the company, and they are using Salesforce license for everything. The company is so tiny, their applications, their usage is so tiny, and within that they have 2 3 subgroups. They've been using full Salesforce license for everything, and I'm like, why can't you do it like this? And that's one of the most easiest but more valuable project that I've done, where I was able to create a, like I was able to move over people from full Salesforce license to platform license. I was able to move over like at least 800 users from full Salesforce license to platform license. um, Now, that wasn't even my job. I was only hired to do something for them. When I was doing that, I asked them, hey, the feature that I'm building, which group of users should have access to this so I can enable the permissions. So when I was going through their profiles, I'm like, oh, these people only have access to these 6 objects, but why are like, and they're using full Salesforce license. So when I brought that with the manager there, we did the whole analysis. The project extended for a month, but the whole analysis was done, and we were able to move, finally consolidate and able to move 800 users from Salesforce. Like imagine for 800 people paying $350 a month versus the same 800 people paying $40 a month. Like imagine the amount of savings that the company has just with a little bit analysis. Uh, that's why I wanted to give you what licensing structure is. That's how Salesforce main, like when you walk into a company, and if you are implementing Salesforce for the first time, right? As a consultant, you are also supposed to suggest them. They say, hey, these are the business problems that we are trying to solve. These are the group of users that we have, and then we should be able to make a decision. Okay, for this group of users, we will buy full Salesforce license, but for this group of users, the platform license would be sufficient. If you have a set of users who only use one module, like let's not even waste those $40. Let's settle down to $10 by buying the app subscription licenses. So within the company itself, you can have different things, um, and save the money for the company. So the place where I work for, like the currently where I work for, we only have 10 Salesforce license, because system admin, right? In order to be a system admin, you need to have full Salesforce license. So we only have like 10 or 13 full Salesforce license, and rest of everything, we have 35,000 users using the system. Among the 35,000 users, only 10 licenses are full Salesforce license. Rest of 34,000, what, 990 licenses are platform license. Okay, and I think we have been using Salesforce for so long. They got a great deal on the platform license. I think they pay $20 or $15 per month per user. Now, but what we do is we customize everything. Just like I told you, if you buy a cheaper internet, if you want to watch TV, if you want, you need to buy, or you need to customize things. In the same way, these people, like this company, they got all the 34,990 licenses as platform license, very cheap one. But because we don't have access to opportunity lead, campaign and everything, so if our marketing team comes and says, hey, we want an application that can track campaigns, we will custom build it. We will create, instead of campaign as a standard object, we'll create a campaign double underscores as a custom object. We create all the fields, we create all the features, we write code. So this company, because we wanted everything custom, decided to spend money on development rather than using the out of the box features. Okay, so it's really up to, I mean, there are so many applications that go wrong, that fail. I mean, not fail, but that make the company spend way more than what they are supposed to, because they don't have an understanding of this licensing structure. Hopefully I gave you that introduction of, like this licensing. If not, you do not know everything perfectly. At least if you are in a project where you are implementing something from scratch, like if you joined a company that's already having everything, they might have already thought about this and they might have implemented their licensing structure. But if you are hired in a project where everything is starting from scratch, it's you know like you should be able to contribute it to the project from this licensing, like from the analysis point, thinking how many objects somebody would have access to, what license would be the better choice for them, and things like that. Okay. Any question? That's why you see, if you are creating a new user, if you are creating a new user, you see, first it would ask what is the user license. Okay, then only it would ask the profile. And now you see, if I change the user license, the profile is automatically changing here. Okay, because depending on the user license, you can create profiles. And if you go to
company information. There is a tab called company information. So if you go to the tab and if you see this, you see, I mean, this is a free org, right? That's why we don't have too many licenses. But here you see, we have two Salesforce licenses, three platform license, five customer community login. Um, customer community plus we have five. Like we have different like there is a whole list. I mean, it's good for a free org. The Salesforce is giving so many licenses for a free org for us to test out all these features. Okay, it's just a free org. They gave two full Salesforce and three platform licenses. What is a platform license? If I create a user with the platform license, they will be able to access account and contact and up to 100 custom objects. So yeah, which is huge actually, which is pretty huge. So any questions here? So when you go to a company, right? If you join on the day one, if I join day one on a new company, here is what I do. First of all, the moment I join, probably the moment I get access, the second minute or third minute, I'll go to company information and see their licensing structure. Oh, how many users are there? How many licenses that you have? What kind of licenses? I'll just do that analysis a little bit, and then okay, I get a picture of what their user base is, how they are using, and then I'll move on to other things from there. Okay, guys, any question? All right, let's move on to the profile thing. Like, let's customize the profile even more. Like, we'll just take the HR as the example and then customize it. Since we already created that profile. I mean, we don't have an HR app, but let's just use the same thing to. Okay, first thing, this profile controls app access, which apps you have access to. So by checking this two check boxes, we were able to see that user is able to see more. Like if I check all the check boxes, these HR people will also have, like, users with this profile also have access to, will have access to all the apps that I check. Okay, so creating some if we are creating apps and these apps have to be accessed by only specific profiles, this is where we control, like, the app level access. Okay, we don't have to worry about this. Now, tabs, right? Okay, these people have sales app access. Okay, good. Now let's talk about tabs. So what are tabs here? Like, let me log in as this person. See, these are the tabs, right? You see this person is able to see opportunities, lead, task, file, account, contact. These are the tab access. So let me go here. So please understand, this is the HR user view and end user view. End user, when they log in, how they see it, and the other view that I am modifying, this is our system admin view. When system admin login, how they see the system. So you see on the tabs, we have three different options: tab hidden, default off, default on. Okay, so tab hidden, let's say I make the account tab as hidden. I made the account tab as hidden for HR profile. Let me refresh this. See the account tab, let me refresh this. You see the tab is gone. Now they are unable to see the tab because I made the tab as tab hidden. The HR profile will not be able to access this tab anymore. Okay. See, even here, if I type in account, they're unable to see the tab here. Okay. So now, if you want to protect an object, if you don't want users, a certain specific set of users to not to access certain object, it's an easy thing. You can just mark the tab as tab, like you can make their tab as tab hidden, right? Okay, now I'm gonna, so there is other setting too. Default on. Default on is nothing but this one, like, contact is default on. When it is default on, you will be able to see right here. If it is tab hidden, you will not be able to see it at all. Now I'm going to use another setting, default off. Okay, this is the setting I'm going to use. So I made it default off. Let me refresh it. So if it is default off, you will not be able to see it here, but if you go here, you will be able to see that. Okay, so default on is nothing but you will be able to see right here on the banner. Tab hidden is you will never be able to see it, and default off is you will be able to see it here, like when they want to see all the items, you'll be able to see it here. Okay, now again, you don't have to remember these things. It's you will never do these things directly, or like you will always test it right before giving it. So when you are doing the when you get a chance to update this, you can always play around and tell them, like you can play around, you can choose three options, play around what happens, and then you can let them know. But I'm just giving you an intro of what these are. Okay, so these are what you call app access and tab access. Again, for every tab that you create, you have these options here. If I don't want, you see here, I enable the conference management app. Okay, you see, I enable the conference management app, but let's see how HR is looking at conference management app. See, I go to conference management app. You see, but I'm unable to see anything. Whereas in our conference, like if I system admin, I go to conference management app, I'm able to see, courses, core sessions, everything, right? But you see, if they log into conference management app, they're unable to see anything. Why? Because if you go to this tab access, you see this sessions is set as tab hidden. Let me set it as default on. Session speakers is default on. Speakers is default on. Now save it. Let me refresh it now. It takes a couple of minutes. Okay, okay. I know why. Sure. So though, I mean, see, I made the tab as default on, but we need to take care of something else too. I'll show you what it is. So let me just scroll down a little bit. Here you have something called object permissions. Okay, you see this object permission. So object permissions are nothing but these object permissions control what you can do, like what kind of permissions you have at the object level. Okay, I enable tab access, but you see here for session speaker and speaker, I didn't enable any object level permission. Okay, I'll enable read, create, edit, read, create, edit. Even for speakers, I'll enable read. Okay, I'll just enable these permissions. You see, custom object permission. I will enable these permissions and then save. So now if I refresh this, you see, they're able to see session speaker, and everything. See, they're able to see all the records in the system. Okay, so now tab is just a UI item. Tab is just a, like if you see, if you notice here, tab is just a UI item that controls whether somebody has access to the tab or not. but the most important item that controls object level access, like because I gave read, create, edit here, read, create, edit, these people are able to see the object. Let's say he, you need to understand two things. I gave read, create, edit access, but I did not enable tabs. Okay, if I give read, create, and edit, but I did not give tab access, they have object level permission, but they don't have access to the UI. Now, just because I enable the tab access, but if the users don't have any read, create, edit permission on the object, they will not be able to see it. Okay. Now let's see. Let me remove create permission. Okay, let me remove create permission and say for these three objects, I removed the create permission. Okay. Now, if I go and refresh, you see they don't see new button here. Like even if you go to speakers, they don't see new button here to create a new speaker or a new session. They will not be able to. Why? Because because if I go to the object permission here, you see, I only gave read and edit permission, read and edit, read and edit. I did not give create permission. Okay, let's say for sessions, I enable create permission. Only for sessions, I'm enabling create permission. Now, if I refresh sessions, see for sessions, I see new button, but for speaker, I don't see new button. Okay, so this is controlling like what kind of permissions that you have, like whether you will be able to create the records or whether you will be able to update the records. Okay, and notice that I didn't enable delete permission at all because I didn't enable delete permission. Even if you go to one of the existing records, you're not even seeing the delete button. Okay, because I didn't enable the permission, right? Because I didn't enable the delete permission. Now let me enable delete for these two. For all the objects, I enable delete permission. Now if I go and refresh, see, you can see delete option here. So that this controls the object level access. Okay. Now what does the profile control? Profile control app access, tab access, now other general user permissions too, like will you be able to edit the post, will you able like I don't even know what all the permissions that they have. See API enable, like if you are able to, if your API is enabled, you'll be able to access like author apex permission. If you provide author apex permission, this person will be able to write apex code. Okay, you see bulk API hard delete. Remember in data loader yesterday when we were checking, the hard delete permission was like grayed out, right? But if you check this just checkbox here, the hard delete permission will be enabled. Like there are so many other general features which I don't know, but whenever I'm doing some research, if I have to enable some permission, I come check if I have a permission that is available or not, and then depending on whether the permission is available, I'll just enable those permissions. Okay, now but these are very important permissions, like the object level permissions are really important because it is controlling whether to provide delete access, read access, edit access, create access. This is providing that. And then you see password policies. Password policy is nothing but like I set a password, right? After how many days this password will expire, like what is the complexity of the password, and these things can be set here. Okay, now so far we learned that a profile controls app level access, tab access, general permissions, object level permissions, and password policies. Okay, so the object level permissions are important because you can control which profile has access to what objects. And again, please remember, this change, any change that you're making here might impact hundreds or thousands of users depending on, like for example, again, in the current application, the place where I work for, we have a user called full service tracking. We have a profile called full service tracking profile, and that profile have 15,000 users associated with it. So if I check one checkbox, if I hide a default off, or if I made this change, it would impact all those 15,000 users who have this profile. Okay, so that's why when making changes to the profile, think twice, thrice. It impacts mass audience, right? Like all the users who belong to that profile will be impacted. So that's why we need to be careful on which permissions we are enabling or disabling at the profile level. Okay, now I'll come to this view all and modify all later. Like, when we talk about record level security, then I'll come to view all and modify. Okay. Now, there is a common question that Salesforce would ask you, hey, what is a profile in Salesforce? Okay. So the answer should be profile is a set of permissions that are clubbed together, and this profile will be assigned to multiple users. Uh, some of the things that the profile will control are app level access, tab level access, general permissions, administrative permissions, object access, password policies, login hours, IP ranges, Apex class access, Visual Force access. It controls so many things. But at least if you say 5 or 6 random things, they'll be like, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. Okay. Um, all right, guys. We will talk about profile a little bit tomorrow, like about the login hours, IP ranges, and stuff. And then we'll move on to permission set. Like we'll talk about permission set as well tomorrow. Then we'll move on to the record level security. Once the record level security is done, most of the admin part is completed. But these are the things, the profiles, permission sets, record level security. These are the things that you use each and every day in the system. Okay. Any questions? Anybody? Is it clear? Not clear? I hope you got some understanding of Salesforce licensing structure as well. All right. If you don't have any question, I'll see you guys tomorrow at the same time, probably at 10 o'clock. Yeah.